The disappearance of 21-year-old Nadia Cole has baffled many, given the peculiar details surrounding the investigation. In May of 2024, Nadia was engaged to a man named Aaron Ong from Idaho, though she was residing in Port Angeles, Washington. Nadia had recently graduated from Washington State University and was eagerly anticipating a holiday trip to Italy with her mother, Beta. The trip had been planned for over a year, and they were excited to depart from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in Washington. Upon arriving at the airport, the case took an unexpected turn. Nadia told her mother she needed to use the restroom and left her carry-on bag with Beta. CCTV footage later obtained by police showed Nadia leaving the airport at 3:08 p.m., appearing visibly anxious. Later that afternoon, around 4 p.m., security footage captured her in downtown Seattle at 3rd Avenue and University Street, exiting a streetcar and heading toward the waterfront, after which she seemingly vanished without a trace. When Nadia's family couldn't reach her, they reported her missing. The Port of Seattle Police Department launched an investigation, uncovering more perplexing details. Investigators found that Aaron Ong had also left for a trip that same day. He and his young daughter were supposed to go on a fishing trip to Montana and return after 5 days. However, Aaron and his daughter never came back, prompting his family to report them missing to the Pullman Police Department. A warrant for Aaron's arrest was issued on June 3 for custodial interference after he failed to return his daughter to her mother. Investigators suspect that Aaron has absconded with his daughter and had no intention of returning her. They believe his disappearance is linked to Nadia's, though they have yet to find conclusive evidence. A $10,000 reward is being offered for information leading to Nadia's current whereabouts. A tip from a member of the public claimed to have seen Nadia in the Washington area in late May, but this could not be confirmed. Nadia is described as having blonde hair, green eyes, standing 5 feet 9 inches tall, and weighing 130 pounds. She was last seen wearing a green hooded top, black yoga pants, a black jacket, white shoes, and carrying a tan shoulder bag. Aaron Ong is described as having black hair and brown eyes, standing around 5 feet 9 inches tall, and weighing 135 pounds. While investigators believe the couple is traveling together, this remains speculative, as no concrete proof has been found. If you have any information regarding Nadia's case, please contact the Port of Seattle Police Department at 206-787-5411. Anyone with information on Aaron Ong's whereabouts should contact the Pullman Police Department at 509-334-0802. Alternatively, you can reach the Shepherd Shield Security Group at 877-220-8129. The mystery surrounding Nadia Cole's disappearance remains unsolved, and her family and friends continue to seek answers, hoping for her safe return. Jessica Zarinsky disappeared on the evening of November 25, 2022. Despite being spotted on multiple CCTV cameras after her disappearance, these sightings have not brought her family or the police any closer to resolving her case. Jessica, who was 30 years old at the time, suffered from health problems, but initially, her family didn't suspect anything was wrong. However, after days of no contact, they reported her missing to the police on December 3. The police immediately began a public appeal for information. The last known sighting of Jessica occurred around 1 p.m. in the Bosley Park area of Sydney, Australia. According to the missing person report, she was last seen wearing a yellow long-sleeved shirt, black leggings, and flat shoes. The police also released a CCTV image showing Jessica wearing a grey top earlier that day. As part of the investigation, police reviewed CCTV footage from the surrounding area. 3 days after she was last seen by family and friends, CCTV footage captured Jessica walking in a suburban area of Bosley Park. In this footage, She was wearing an orange sleeveless shirt and black leggings. She was first spotted on Zandro Avenue at about 8:35 p.m. on November 28th, and then outside a club on Prairie Vale Road at 9:45 p.m. She was seen walking in the opposite direction 5 minutes later. A short clip of this last known sighting was released to the public, showing Jessica confidently walking across a road, carrying a cream-colored handbag, which she had not been carrying when friends last saw her 3 days earlier. This puzzling footage only heightened police concerns about Jessica's safety. Since her disappearance, no other footage has been located. Jessica had a history of mental health problems, and erratic behavior was not uncommon for her, but she had never completely disappeared before. She is described as being 5 feet 5 inches tall, with a thin build and long hair. She has tattoos on her right index finger, left wrist, and the back of her neck. Anyone with information about Jessica Zarinsky's disappearance should contact Fairfield Police or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-333-000. In the early hours of October 15, 2016, 26-year-old Ketie Jones was tragically shot and killed while walking home. Ketie, a waitress at the Midwood Smokehouse in Charlotte, North Carolina, had been out with friends in the Plaza Midwood neighborhood, a trendy area known for its bars and nightlife. As the night ended, Ketie walked home alone, following her usual route along the 1300 block of the plaza toward Central Avenue. Her friends noted that it wasn't unusual for her to walk home late at night, as she only lived about a mile from the Midwood Country Club, the bar they had visited that evening. At 2:45 a.m., Ketie was almost halfway home when she was shot in the chest by an unknown assailant. Her body was discovered shortly afterward in the driveway of a real estate business. A nearby resident, who heard the gunshot, called the police, but they arrived too late to save her. The Charlotte Police's best lead is surveillance footage from a church across the street, which captures about a minute of Ketie walking by. Shortly after she passes out of frame, a car follows behind her. Police believe Ketie spoke with the occupants of the vehicle and that they are responsible for her murder. While some speculate it was an attempted robbery, Ketie had pepper spray, was walking in a well-lit area, and nothing was taken from her, including her phone and purse. Others think gang violence might have been involved, possibly as part of an initiation. At the same time, some friends believe the crime was not random, suggesting that someone offered her a ride home, and she declined, potentially triggering the violence. Despite these theories, the case remains unsolved, with no current suspects. Ketie's mother, Givona Livingston, has chosen to focus on her daughter's life rather than her tragic death. To honor Ketie's memory, her family and friends established a scholarship at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. Ketie had been unable to continue her education due to financial constraints, so this scholarship aims to help others in similar situations. As Livingston stated, she wasn't able to stay in college because she didn't have the funding to continue, so for her to help somebody, that would be everything to her. I know she's smiling down. For over a month, the family and friends of Matthew Dillon have been desperately searching for answers after his sudden disappearance on January 2, 2023. Their quest took a perplexing turn when CCTV footage revealed Matthew in York, a city 100 miles away from his home in South Liverpool. Matthew, 46, was last seen leaving his home in Moseley Hill, Liverpool, where he lived with his father. The morning of his disappearance seemed ordinary. When his father inquired about his plans, Matthew mentioned it was a nice day and that he might visit Southport, a journey that would take approximately 90 minutes by public transport. Later that day, Matthew sent his father a WhatsApp message stating he would be home by around 10:30 p.m. if his bus was on time. His father responded with a simple, "Take care." The message was marked as read at 10:29 p.m., suggesting Matthew was almost home. However, when 20 minutes passed without any sign of him, his father sent a follow-up message at 10:50 p.m., but it remained undelivered. It seemed Matthew either turned off his phone or lost internet access. When Matthew did not return home that night, his family reported him missing to the local police. The initial search focused on Liverpool and Southport, with public appeals for information circulating on social media. Despite these efforts, there was no trace of Matthew in either location. The investigation took an unexpected turn when reports surfaced of Matthew being seen in York. Witnesses claimed to have spotted him in a pub, a familiar setting for Matthew as he had visited York pubs in the past. However, it was highly unusual for him to undertake such a journey without informing anyone. If he had indeed travelled from Southport to York, the trip would have taken over 3 hours, requiring him to pass through Liverpool. Matthew was reportedly seen in York on January the 3rd and 4th, appearing calm and not exhibiting any unusual behaviour. The last confirmed sighting occurred on the morning of January 5th, when CCTV footage captured him at York train station. He was still wearing the same clothes he had on when he left his home in Liverpool 3 days earlier: a blue jacket, a dark-coloured beanie, and a messenger bag. Matthew is described as a white male of large build with short sandy hair and glasses. Anyone with information about his disappearance is urged to contact North Yorkshire Police at 101. On the evening of December 28, 2022, Peter Baglan got up from the sofa and told his wife, Michelle, that he was going for a walk. He assured her he would be home soon, but over a month later, he remains missing. Peter, 55, had been married to Michelle for over 20 years and had her name tattooed on his neck. The couple shared a life in Greater Manchester, enjoying their 4 grandchildren and recently celebrating the arrival of their first great-grandchild. According to Michelle, there was nothing unusual leading up to Peter's disappearance, and she never imagined he wouldn't return that evening. It wasn't uncommon for Peter to take walks along the canal's top path while listening to music. At 7:38 p.m., he was captured on CCTV at the Texaco garage in Mostly Common, purchasing a bottle of whiskey. About 35 minutes later, Michelle called to check on him. Peter mentioned he was walking along the Bridgewater Canal to clear his head, though he didn't specify what was troubling him. Concerned, Michelle was reassured by his promise to be home soon, his final words to her being, "I love you. You're my world." When Peter didn't return, Michelle's calls went unanswered, prompting her to report him missing. The first clue appeared the next day along the canal top path. Peter's phone, hat, and earphones were found together. It seemed plausible he might have fallen into the canal, leading to a police underwater search of the entire stretch. Over 200 people joined the search efforts, but no further clues were discovered. The absence of other items he might have been carrying deepened the mystery. Peter's family believe someone knows his whereabouts or what happened to him. They urge anyone with information to contact Greater Manchester Police at 101 or Crime Stoppers at 0800 555 111. Peter is described as 5 feet 10 inches with grey hair and a tattoo on the left side of his neck. Sharon "Sherry" Anderson was extremely close to her family, especially her 2 young grandsons, whom she adored. When December arrived, her thoughts turned to Christmas. However, for her family and friends, the holiday season now brings a painful reminder of her unsolved disappearance. Sherry was last seen on December 2, 2000. She left her home in Stanwood, Washington, at 9 a.m. that morning. The night before, she had discussed her plans with her daughter. She intended to go to McDonald's for breakfast, pick up some photos she had sent to be developed, visit Walmart, and then stop by the Everett Mall. She promised her husband, John, that she would be back by 4 p.m. as they had plans for dinner. John fell asleep that afternoon and woke at 5:30 p.m. to find Sherry still wasn't home. He called Sherry's friend, thinking she might be there, but the friend hadn't seen or heard from her. After contacting other friends and family, a search began at 9 p.m. that evening. A friend found Sherry's car outside the Everett Mall. There were no Christmas presents inside, suggesting that whatever happened to her occurred before she returned to the car. Sherry's purse and the weapon she carried for protection were found inside the vehicle. To her family, it seemed impossible that Sherry would disappear voluntarily. She was a dependable social worker, and there had been no activity on her bank account since her disappearance. Family and friends took the lead in the investigation, searching pawn shops for the jewelry Sherry was wearing when she vanished. She had a custom-designed wedding ring, a diamond flanked by black onyx set in white gold. However, there was no sign of the ring in any stores. There has been no trace of Sherry since her disappearance. John filed for divorce a year later, stating that he needed to move on, but the rest of the family has continued to search for answers. Sherry was 5 feet 8 inches and 130 pounds when she vanished. She was biracial, of Caucasian and Cherokee Native American descent, and was last seen wearing a green jacket, blue jeans, and white shoes. Anyone with information about Sherry Anderson's disappearance can contact the Everett Police Department at 425-257-8413. Stephen Clark, a 54-year-old loving and caring father, was well liked in the community of Wareham, Dorset, England, where he lived with his family. Despite his cheerful disposition, Stephen had faced significant health challenges in recent years, having been diagnosed with Huntington's disease, a hereditary condition that progressively impairs brain function. His family noticed the disease affecting his memory and coordination, and did everything they could to ensure he led a happy and comfortable life. Panic set in for Stephen's family when he disappeared in late January 2023. On the morning of January 6, 2023, Stephen followed his usual routine. Witnesses reported seeing him in a shop in Wareham around 9 a.m. Later, locals spotted him outside the Garden Gate Tea Room at approximately 10:30 a.m. When Stephen failed to return home, his family became alarmed and contacted the Dorset police. Given Stephen's health conditions, the Dorset police quickly launched a search operation. CCTV footage revealed Stephen's last known movements, showing him walking down Bell's Orchard Lane at around 11:23 a.m. After this, he mysteriously vanished, and there have been no further sightings or communications from him since. The local community has shown immense support for Stephen's family. The Dorset Police, in collaboration with the Dorset Coast Guard, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, RNLI, and the Hampshire Search and Rescue Team, have conducted extensive searches. The Dorset Police suspect Stephen may have fallen into the River Frome or the River Piddle, and both rivers have been thoroughly searched, but to no avail. To uncover any possible clues, the Dorset Police are now appealing to motorists who were in Wareham on January 6 to review their dashcam footage. Over 400 homes and properties have been searched to find Stephen, yet leads have yet to emerge. Stephen Clark is described as a white male with brown hair, standing 5 feet 1 inch tall, of slim build, and using a golden walking stick. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Dorset Police on 101, quoting case number 5523001 for 390. When Catherine Ackling Bryan didn't show up to pick her 2 daughters from school, her husband, Michael, immediately grew worried. Within just half an hour, she was reported missing. Michael soon uncovered that Catherine had been acting oddly all day. That morning, Catherine took her daughters to school in an unusual state. Her younger daughter was still in her pajamas, a first for the family, stemming from an accident the child had the previous day due to illness. Initially, Catherine planned to keep her daughter home, but she changed her mind at the last minute. After dropping off the children, Catherine briefly returned home at 10:30 a.m. She later dropped off some items at the school before taking a bus to a shopping centre. CCTV footage from St Mary Village Centre showed her visiting a Target store where she bought clothes for her daughters. At 12:17 p.m., she was seen leaving the shopping centre. What happened after Catherine left the mall remains a mystery. While no further footage of her was found, it is believed she returned home as the new clothes were discovered there and she had prepared a meal in a slow cooker. However, by 3:30 p.m., Catherine had vanished without a trace. When the school called Michael, he initially thought she might have overslept during a nap. But upon checking the house, he found it empty, with her phone and purse left behind, but her house keys missing. The police launched an immediate investigation into her disappearance. Over the following year, multiple appeals for information were made by officials and Catherine's family. Despite these efforts, no additional CCTV footage surfaced, and no witnesses came forward. Authorities do not suspect foul play in Catherine's disappearance. She had a history of mental health issues and was under significant stress at the time, particularly due to her daughter's recent illness, which had visibly upset her. During the walk to school, her children noticed she had tears in her eyes. Catherine's family believes she is no longer alive, yet her body has never been found. As a result, her disappearance remains unresolved. Ellen Wilson was last seen on CCTV, withdrawing money from an ATM, and her family is no closer to finding out what happened in this strange, missing person case. The last time anybody saw Ellen was the evening of September 11, 2015. She had been at the Australian Hotel, a pub in Ballina, Australia. Whether or not she had been drinking isn't known, but it's believed she left the bar in her silver Subaru station wagon. What happened after this is an unsolved mystery. Ellen was reported as a missing person when she failed to show up for a meeting the next day. The day of her disappearance, Ellen had spoken to a friend, and they were set to discuss volunteering work. It was unlike Ellen not to show up, and when nobody could get a hold of her, she was reported as missing. Like many missing person cases, police turned to CCTV footage to help solve the case. Ellen had been captured on CCTV in Lismore, and reports state that this was the day after she was last seen at the Australian hotel. However, still images from the CCTV video were released that were timestamped November 11th. There were also reports of Ellen's car being seen in the area in the months following her disappearance, but none were ever corroborated. Neither Ellen nor her car has ever been found. Police found no evidence of foul play, but could not rule it out. The timeline in this case is extremely important. If the CCTV footage was from the day of her disappearance, it's likely Ellen vanished on her way home from the pub. The Australian hotel is very close to the Richmond River and the shore, so it's possible an accident resulted in her ending up in the river. If the CCTV footage was the day after, something may have happened between Lismore and Ballina. Ellen is still registered as a missing person, and her case is unsolved. She is described as being of Caucasian appearance, with light brown hair, blue eyes, and she wears glasses. Her car registration was CB76QX. Anyone with information that could help solve this unexplained disappearance should contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-333-000. Investigators from Childers, in Queensland, Australia, have released CCTV security footage of 82-year-old Peter Hodgkins, who's gone missing from that area. Since they've been unable to locate him, Peter went missing on the 19th of May, 2024, and has not been seen or heard from since. The police have made an urgent appeal for members of the public to keep a lookout for him in case he's spotted. The last time that he was seen, Peter was captured on CCTV security footage from an aged care facility on Morgan Street when he left the building at around 6:46 p.m. It was reported that he then started walking south towards Broadhurst Street, but it isn't known what happened to him after that, as he's not made contact with anyone who knows him. In the footage, Peter and another man can be seen exiting the building. He then points off into the distance while talking to the other man, but the footage doesn't seem to show which direction he walked in after that. When he was reported missing, a search of the area where he was last seen was conducted with the aid of drones, trail bikes, and on foot, but no sign of him or his belongings was found. The search for Peter is still ongoing, and investigators have asked people residing in the area to check their own security footage in case their cameras spot him after he was last seen. If such footage is found, it might help ascertain a timeline of his disappearance, as well as offer clues to his last known movement. This will give searchers a better idea of where to search and give them a better chance of locating Peter. It's also been suggested that he may be in the Townsville area, and so people living in that area have been asked to stay vigilant. Emergency services staff have stated that they're increasingly worried about Peter since he's known to suffer from dementia, and since temperatures in the area are set to fall with the onset of winter in the southern hemisphere. Peter is said to be a frail individual, and so he would have a tough time surviving while exposed to the elements for too long. Investigators have used every resource available to them in an effort to help find Peter, but to date, they've been unable to locate him. Searches of the bushland near the aged care home where Peter stayed have been carried out, but these have failed to provide any further clues. It's also been suggested that Peter was picked up by a well-meaning motorist and driven somewhere else, since they may not have known that he was a missing person who was being searched for. At one point, the police received a tip that the missing man was seen on Thompson Road, but when the area was searched, he was nowhere to be found, and it remains unclear whether this was Peter who was seen. Houses in that area are being searched, and a search and rescue headquarters has been set up at the Childers police station, so that any incoming information can be processed as quickly as possible. Investigators have also stated that anyone who wants to volunteer in the search can do so by contacting the Childers police station. In the CCTV footage, Peter can be seen wearing blue jeans, a blue polo shirt, brown shoes, and a dark coat. If you've seen Peter or know where he may be, you're asked to contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-333-000. Tips can be submitted online by using the police link Suspicious Activity form. 84-year-old Elena Roy and Chris Catallo, from Fallbrook, California, had been a couple for 14 years. On November 3rd, they got into an argument, after which Elena left their house around 1:30 p.m. to go for a walk and clear her head. Chris expected her to be gone for a short while, but when she failed to return, he became concerned and contacted the police to file a missing person report. He informed investigators that she would be turning 84 in a few days, and her family confirmed she wasn't in the habit of just disappearing. She was known to enjoy walking, but always returned home after about an hour. Worryingly, she also showed signs of dementia over the previous few years, adding further concerns for her safety. During their inquiries, investigators found surveillance footage from a grocery outlet store that showed Elena in the building, but added that the footage was taken on the day before she disappeared. As soon as news of Elena's disappearance became public, hundreds of volunteers aided in the search for her in and around Fallbrook, but no sign of her was found. As many as 60 search and rescue crews combed the area, with the help of a helicopter, but this also didn't provide any further clues, despite the search lasting 2 full days. Elena's bank accounts were monitored, but showed no activity. This was later discovered to be normal, since only Chris ever used the account to withdraw funds from time to time. Elena hadn't used the account for about 2 years. Her family stated that Elena was very close with them, and that she wouldn't stay out of touch for so long without reason. They expressed their frustration with Chris since he only contacted them about the disappearance at 8:45 that evening, telling them they shouldn't panic. When asked why he waited so long, he could give no good explanation, other than he was driving around looking for Elena and finally decided to contact them when it started to get dark. They also found it strange that Chris let her walk away on her own, since he'd recently started accompanying her on her walks, due to her worsening condition. He also stated that he didn't contact anyone in the neighborhood while searching for her, since he didn't want to wake anyone up. It then came to light that Elena had been picked up by the side of the road by a fireman once in the past. He noticed her walking alone and took her to the sheriff's station, but when Chris came to collect her, he acted as if he didn't really care, which the fireman found suspicious. Chris has since stated that Elena had started distancing herself from the rest of the family, but they've denied these claims, stating that they were as close as they'd always been. 3 months later, Chris asked one of the family members to get her belongings, but when she did so, she realized that he was having a garage sale and had put many of Elena's belongings up for sale. The family also took exception to the fact that he kept referring to Elena in the past tense, and that he stated during an interview that he was thinking of relocating somewhere else, since there was now nothing keeping him in Fallbrook. A $10,000 reward is being offered to anyone who provides investigators with information leading to Elena being found. Anyone with such information can contact the San Diego Sheriff's Department Homicide Unit at 858-285-6286. Alternatively, you can contact their anonymous tip line at 888-580-8477. In 2014, police from the Isle of Wight, in the UK, appealed to the public to be on the lookout for a 53-year-old woman who had inexplicably gone missing. Over a decade later, she has still not been found. On June 7, 2014, Victoriya Baily was known to have boarded the number 12 bus and travelled to an area called Freshwater, where she got off. This was evidenced by CCTV footage obtained from the bus after it became apparent that she had gone missing. In the clip, Victoriya can be seen getting on the bus, paying her fare, and later leaving the bus and walking away on her own. She doesn't appear to be in any distress, making her disappearance all the more baffling. As soon as the police were made aware that Victoriya had gone missing, a search was organized of the immediate area and the nearby ocean, but they were unsuccessful in locating her, despite continuing the search for several days. Investigators also released a photo of the model of cell phone she was carrying, a silver or black Samsung GTE 2550, but the phone has never been found. At 9:15 a.m. on June 19th, a witness contacted the police to report that they believed they had spotted Victoriya walking on New Barn Road, heading towards York Avenue in East Cowes. The witness stated that the woman was wearing a purple blouse and black capri pants. This prompted another search of the area, but once again, no sign of Victoriya was found, and it remains unknown whether she was the woman seen. People in the area were interviewed, but no one had seen the woman. Following this, Victoriya's family made an urgent appeal to the public for any information on her whereabouts. It has been speculated that she walked to Tennyson Trail, a challenging 14-mile hike that stretches from Carysbrook to the Needles, though no evidence has ever been found that she entered the trail. Her sister, Lisa Lauren, made a public appeal directly to Victoriya, asking her to contact her family so they could be assured she was doing fine. Lisa added that Victoriya didn't have to disclose her location, but they desperately wanted to hear from her. With no further leads, the police asked other passengers on the number 12 bus that day to come forward with any information, such as where Victoriya went after getting off the bus. They speculated that she might have spoken to a fellow passenger and mentioned her plans for the day. However, no one has come forward with additional information. Victoriya was last seen wearing a beige jacket, a dark top, a scarf, blue jeans, and sunglasses. She was also carrying a backpack, and it is believed she may have changed her outfit since she was last seen. If you have seen Victoriya or have any information on her case, you are urged to contact the Newport Police Station by dialing 101 and referring to case number 441 for 2577. 22-year-old Talis Ahfat has been missing since the early hours of December 16, 2022. His case has baffled investigators, as there has been no trace of him for nearly 2 years. Talis, a resident of Queensland, Australia, was last seen by his family when he left their home that morning, and they have not heard from him since, leading them to suspect foul play. Talis was a student at Spine Effect State School, where he was an enthusiastic rugby player. He also worked at a nearby cattle station and was a musician who enjoyed playing the didgeridoo. Around 3:45 a.m. on the morning he disappeared, Talis left his house on Carbonate Street. CCTV footage captured him walking along Alma Street and crossing a bridge at approximately 3:51 a.m., just minutes after leaving his home. When friends and family were unable to reach Talis by December 19th, 3 days after his disappearance, they reported him missing. Despite a comprehensive land and air search, no trace of Talis or his belongings was found. A Mount Isa police spokesperson noted that it is highly unusual for a missing person investigation in the area to remain unsolved for such a long period without any clues or witnesses coming forward. Talis's phone record showed no activity since his disappearance, and his bank accounts have also been inactive, leading many to believe he did not leave voluntarily. His family expressed deep concern for his safety and medical well-being, as Talis required daily medication for a condition they did not disclose. Desperate for answers, Talis's family turned to social media, urging the community to report any sightings or information. They believed his disappearance was suspicious, though investigators stated they had found no evidence of foul play. Despite these assurances, the circumstances surrounding Talis's disappearance remain unclear, and the investigation has stalled due to a lack of new leads. Talis's family continues to hope for his safe return, posting messages on his Facebook account asking him to contact them to alleviate their fears. However, as time passes, the likelihood of resolving his case diminishes. Talis is described as having dark curly hair, short at the back and sides, with an average build, and standing 5 feet 5 inches tall. He has a distinctive star tattoo under his left eye and an indigenous flag tattoo on his left forearm. At the time of his disappearance, he was wearing an orange, black, and white shirt, black shorts, black shoes, and a maroon bucket hat. Anyone with information about Talis's disappearance is urged to contact their nearest police station immediately. His family and friends continue to search for answers and hold on to hope that one day they will find out what happened to Talis Ahfat. On October 16, 2022, Lucinda Miller was captured on CCTV in southeast Melbourne. It was 11 a.m. and Lucinda was dressed in a jacket, beanie, and scarf. Within an hour, she would vanish, leaving her loved ones confused and scared. At the time of her unexplained disappearance, Lucinda was 24 years old. She had recently lost a significant amount of weight, and some news reports suggested she may have had health issues. Shortly after being seen on CCTV, Lucinda ordered an Uber. The driver dropped her off 30 minutes later near himself, in a remote bushland area, about 2.5 kilometers from her home. There was a trail in the area that could have led Lucinda back home, but she never returned and hasn't been seen by her loved one since. Initially, Lucinda's friends and family weren't overly concerned. The day after Lucinda was last seen on CCTV, a friend posted an online appeal for information, asking anyone who saw her to contact the police and an ambulance. About a week later, the mystery began to attract media attention. It was revealed that Lucinda's phone had been turned off the day after she was last seen, with all calls going straight to voicemail. The search for Lucinda initially focused on the area where she was last seen. However, as the investigation progressed, it seemed she had left the area. A day after the CCTV footage, there was a reported sighting of Lucinda 8 kilometers away in Baltimore East. This lead prompted police to expand their search, but there was still no sign of her. Although the sighting was deemed credible, there was no CCTV evidence to support it, and the case quickly went cold. Despite this, Lucinda's friends continued their efforts to find her. Police stated they did not believe anyone else was involved in Lucinda's disappearance. The Uber driver who last saw her was not suspected of any wrongdoing. It appeared as though Lucinda did not want to be found, and without shelter, it was unlikely she would be found alive. However, in November, there were 2 more sightings. On November 5th, someone matching Lucinda's description was spotted in Portland, southwest Victoria. 3 days later, there was another sighting, this time in Colac. Lucinda is described as being 5'5", with a thin build and blonde hair. She was last seen wearing pink pants, a green jacket, a scarf, a beanie, and a face mask. During the Colac sighting, she was carrying a black shopping cart. Anyone with information regarding Lucinda Miller's whereabouts should contact the police at 5622 to 7111. The search for answers continues, and her family and friends hope for her safe return.